Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the stream on this glorious October day. How's everybody feeling today?
Feeling good, man. Ready to get some painting done.
Hell yeah. In the stream today, we have myself, Matt Griffith, Charles Guerrero, and Holly. Just going to be chilling today. We're gonna. So today, what are we working on today, Matt?
So today we're going to be doing a painting for one of the Manta cards. Swaying leaves. The text on the card is you sway like a leaf in the wind to distract your foe. The Manta are very martial arts based, very monk-like. So really just looking to do some dynamic posing with this, get some good reference images from real life mantises and how they uh, kind of like pose to intimidate, pose to confuse. So yeah, we'll be doing some exploration sketches to start out, and eventually we'll get into the full painting process.
Yeah. A little bit of background as to what inspired this is, yeah, like Matt said, they posture so that way they either make themselves look very big and intimidating, or they will move back and forth with their wings flared out to appear as leaves swaying on a branch, and they'll kind of like hypnotize their prey as they just stare them down in this like in a showdown basically. And so that was kind of the idea of this card, like allows you to hypnotize a foe temporarily for you to attack them. So yeah, good stuff. I'm excited to see this. Flail like you've just been tased to distract your enemy. Oh yeah. So let me for any viewers that we have on the YouTube channel, let me grab you guys a link for our Discord server if you'd like to join. We're hanging out in there just chatting, and more than welcome to join in there too.
One of the things that I'm really going to try and push with this is the anthropomorphic aspect of it. One of the things we try not to do is have the insects pose too much like humans. But to some extent, I think with this piece especially, well, I guess with the Manta especially, the idea of martial arts suggests kind of a control over the body. And so I really want to have that evocation of them having control over their body without it straying too far into being human-esque, like the way you imagine monks posing, like balancing on a pole, that sort of stuff. Like, that's less impressive for an insect, but I think that doing something like that can communicate a similar idea, or the idea that we want to go for. So that's a very rambly way of saying I want the poses to feel vaguely human, but not too human. So I'm going to be looking to write that line with how I pose this character.
Very good. Yeah, just trying to. Colony as a concept really is about like pushing and blurring the lines between human cultural and human behavioral dynamics, and kind of imagining them in an insect format. So yeah, this is an excellent way to go about approaching this. I like it.
Art is about communication, and a lot of times you can communicate more efficiently if you use shortcuts.
Mm-hmm.
So a specific pose and posture can communicate a lot if it's something that people are familiar with.
Yeah. uh, on our Discord channel. Vaguely human to indicate the action, but leaning more insect to stop the weirdos, in parentheses Jade, from drawing some questionable content. Jade will draw the questionable content regardless, because it's a bit for her.
I saw I think it was in a YouTube video, but someone made the point of you can always kind of tell what people fetishize when they draw. Like, just it's very subtle, but you can tell if someone finds something hot or not, even if it's not explicit.
Oh yeah.
It's like, yeah, it's kind of true.
It's very, very funny. We've gotten some comments on one of our videos that very explicitly insinuates that this project is somehow us trying to like push off our fetish of insects or something like that, which is insane. There is not one piece of art, nothing at all referencing anything of the sort. Just somebody definitely projecting their own problems onto us.
If anything, we are using the vehicle of insects to fetishize the Bible. Ever read it?
My king is reading the Bible. That's crazy. Oh, do we deny the accusation? Absolutely, we deny the accusation. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's just weird, man.
The only fan fiction I read is the Holy Scripture.
Oh man. It's just always very funny when you get that one guy who's just telling on himself as he's accusing you of something.
Yeah, like Halo artists, I see all the time. They're like, dude, stop sexualizing Cortana. And then you go into their profile, and there's a drawing of Elite that's thighs are just a little too big. And I'm like, dude, I don't think you're one to talk.
You need to calm down there, bud.
If it's all Cortana, I don't get to put my stuff out there, man. Come on.
I'm actually going to look up a couple more references real quick on the side for the Manta. How to say, what is it? Posturing? Mantis posturing. Gotta use the correct term.
Oh, man, Caleb's coming for the throat today. If Isaac could draw, I dread to think what he'd do to Bionicle. Literally nothing. I don't think I'd have the skill to draw Bionicle. Bionicle are hard, man. There's a lot of greebles on them.
All various levels of greeble.
Yeah. Whoa. Let's see. So this is kind of an interesting opportunity to talk about like maybe some ideas that I've been kicking around for what's it called, for the Song of Aoyama areas, like with what's it called, the Song of the Manta, their history and stuff. So
Yeah.
I can give you. We were just like reading over a little bit of the Song of Origins, and there's some brief glimpses and insights into some of their history. Let me go pull that up real quick. Maybe we can kick around some ideas. Let's see.
1 second, babe. I gotta Google a Fibonacci spiral.
Literally me. Hold on. I gotta give me a moment, babe. I have to go look at the perfect circle and how it relates to flower petal generation. Let's see. So I'll read this excerpt out of the Song of Origins, Movement 7. Now the Manta, having no queen line and upholding their own traditions, secluded themselves of other kingdoms and built for themselves monasteries and only came down for supplement and when in need of aid. Now the Manta were peaceful, and there were some of other nations who would come and steal from them, and so after many raids they found themselves in need of defense. And so they fought without weapon, with only arm and leg, and they made themselves deceitfully fierce with an art. Now after a time they deterred those who would cause them troubles, and they were once again at peace. And so when they found themselves with their liberty, they took to looking at the lights in the evening's heavens, yea, verily, even the countless, and those among the Osatari, and charted the movements of them, and the great light, even S. And they did this that they might better understand the heaven's speech, even so that they might interpret prophecy, that they might know the signs for when they may return to the mother tree. And so they made in their monasteries also great observatories, that they may better see the heavens, and this they continue on in even to this day. So there you go. So, kind of interesting blendings of cultural ideas here, with very obviously the art being this this analog for martial arts of some sort, and then also this almost like Arabic Middle Eastern traditions of astronomy kind of blended in with it. A little bit more subtly, I suppose.
They're definitely a culture that relies a lot on discipline.
Yes.
Like, as far as what I can tell.
Yeah.
They appreciate the limiting of the self, or the honing of the self through rigorous practice.
Yeah.
Be that mind or body.
Absolutely. And that includes like that one of the aspects that you may be asking about, like the fact that they're trying to be peaceful, is also they're still carnivorous. That is their main dietary source. They have to hunt. That's just in their nature. They must do that to survive. That's a biological necessity. But as a part of the cultural practice with it, they refuse to they refuse to revel in any sort of like ceremony for the hunt. They don't treat hunting in the same way as like the Fora do, where they kind of turn it into a festival or a tradition or something like that. So for them, it's much more about survival, and they always give thanks to the creature that they bring down for their food. And they don't hunt sapient species. They don't hunt anything that can speak, or anything that anything of that sort. They only take down wild beasts. So there's a lot of interesting contrasts and contradictions within Manta culture that they're trying to overcome. They're trying to make themselves better in every way that they can.
How do they feel about houseflies? Because they can talk, but they're not really that sapient.
They still speak though, and that's one of the ways that that's one of the ways that they define intelligence, I suppose. And so I would expect that they would probably still be very uh, not okay with hunting houseflies. Not to mention, flies are kind of
Disgusting.
snacks. They're kind of gross. They're kind of snacks. They're much smaller for meals than most manta are willing to exert energy into hunting unless it's a last resort kind of a thing. Oh, question. How are they viewed by other species? Well, they're better respected than they once were. That's a given. Uh, One of the ways that the manta kind of keep themselves in good terms with other nations is they trade away services for protection of like trade caravans or royal caravans and stuff like that. So they end up having like a lot of interactions with other species just in general. A lot of the time, they're almost in a strange way. If you want to relate this in some way to Dune, which I do, they're almost like the Sardaukar, where they are, they're kind of like arms for hire, not exactly mercenaries, because they won't attack. They will not go to war for you, but they will be like a protecting faction for you. They'll make sure that you get safely from point A to point B, but they will not instigate battle. They will not instigate anything that would be harmful to another species without provocation. So I guess as a blanket statement, a lot of the other Sakuta species highly respect the manta.
Actually, kind of adjacent to that, we did have a question over in the general channel on the Discord server. I don't think it's been answered yet.
A general question, or general channel, let's see. Oh, okay. In regards to the peace agreement of the various Sakuta, has there ever been instances or situations where a Sakuta colony has broken it in pursuit of some objective? Do they try and keep such things under the rug if they do happen? What happens to colonies found in breach of the agreement? That is a good question. Generally, you will not find Sakuta who have breached that agreement as far as colonies go. It's one of those things of like you will almost always find contrarians to those peace agreements on individual levels that are creating splinter groups, but as sovereign nations within the larger geopolitical spectrum of the Sakuta, you're really not going to find a whole lot of that occurring. There are some notable exceptions. One being a group of Apoi that splintered off of the main Malif, who are... I want to change the name, but at current moment they're called the Skuta, and that's just too close to Sakuta. I want to change the name for it. It's an old version of the name. And the Skuta are oh, excuse me, just got the hiccups. They split off from the Malif, and they're supposed to be Africanized honeybees, and so they're more feral, they're more warlike. They reject the notions and they reject what's it called? They reject the statutes that were listed out in those peace treaties. So yeah, that's probably the one major group that I can think of off the top of my head. There are other splinter groups of races that just never participated in those peace agreements at all. Notably the Erg Fora, which are slave trader Fora. They just have never been interested in peace. Their entire way of life is about enslaving other Fora mountains, and yeah, that's kind of just another one of those instances where they're I wanted to kind of like blend these lines between I hate the idea of having like species that are just by nature good or by nature evil. I want to have these backdrops of history that justify having these gray areas or these very notably like ambiguously or morally ambiguous areas of history where you can understand how something came about, where they are like groups that ought to be good are performing rather evil deeds, and being able to explain how that occurs is one of the ways that I'm trying to push further into the narratives within the Song of Origins and the Song of Aoyama in general. All of the different species have their own splinter groups that are zealots or extremists within ideological perspectives. So, yeah.
And I think just like the real world, to some degree, like even if a group of people violate a law, sometimes it's in the best interest of the stability of the entire system to just kind of like say, like you really pushed that, but saying you violated the law is worse than what you actually did for the long-term prospect of everyone.
Right.
Like that. That's just how politics works sometimes, and I think a lot of the various species within Colony are like, yeah, we're gonna push the law as much as we can in our own self-interest, knowing that if anyone calls us on it, it's worse off for everybody.
Mm-hmm. Which is, without getting into too much, that's just how everything that the big mess we're in is in right now. So that's how all this happened.
Yep.
It's all about keeping to the letter of the law and not the spirit of the law is the problem. But I digress. This way that you're like creating spirals within spirals within spirals to make this very hypnotic thing it's very, very cool. I like the way that you've approached this.
Yeah, it's the golden ratio, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Fibonacci spiral.
Nice.
Very, very nice. It's nice not to be doing anything with cards in the middle of the art stream right now. It feels so nice to just sit down and hang out.
Uh-huh.
You must be so much better on your back.
It is much better on my back, yeah. I'm actually sitting up at my computer for once.
We have a question over in the Discord server. So, we have mock-ups, like testing versions of the cards.
Oh yeah.
I don't know that we have any fully printed ones, though.
We do not have any fully printed ones. At one point, I did print some like black and white ones, like that were just prototypes, and I printed them just to see what like what the size would be approximately. Because for those of you who don't know, our card size is going to be tarot for this game because we really want to push the being able to see the artwork. That's one of our big goals. Is we want all of the artwork to be front and center, and give good presentations of what the actual effects of the cards are. But to answer the question, and Matt, you are also included in this. You've now had the physical cards for a while now. Is there any particular ones that you just adore the flavor of for the lore and for the effects? Have you gone through enough of them to know if there's anything that you really like, Matt?
Anything that's jumped out to me. I'm gonna think. I'm very like I kind of just take them one at a time, so I don't keep a huge backlog in my memory. I think Rending Mists was one that I really liked doing the art for.
Oh yeah.
That was one with the moth just spewing smoke everywhere through an alchemical spell. And you see a bunch of Fora kind of lost in the fog, like weapons in hand, just getting confused.
They almost look like they're drowning, yeah.
Yeah, and like the smoke effect on that, combined with the like, I think we had just recently introduced braiding or braidcraft.
Yeah.
And so that was incorporated into the Het's design with like what looks like bones woven into the Het's hair. And I think there's so much layering to that piece, like the patterning on the cloth, the wings. It was just so evocative, and it captured the Het so well as a race.
Yeah. I really do like that piece. That piece, by the way, for anybody curious, is showcased in our Welcome to the World of Colony video during the Het segment. It's the last piece of art that we show during their segment, if you'd like to see what piece we're talking about. Yeah, that's an excellent one. I like that. For me, it's probably also a Het card. The Het are just really cool. The way that we've designed their magic is just very very strange and different from a lot of other magic systems that I'm seeing out there right now, and they're fun to play around with. The card that I think is most interesting is I think it's called Distortion Field, and it's a braidcraft piece actually. So the idea is that you have these alchemical materials braided into the fur on your moth's body, like on somewhere on their body, and this particular braid, when they're wearing it, creates an area around them that if an enemy is trapped inside of it, they just see hallucinations. It's just this AoE of just having a really bad trip, basically. And I've had this really cool idea for how to present that in the artwork, and it would be like it would be basically a perspective of a Sakuda eye, like the reflection in a Sakuda's eye, like compound eye, of a Het like staring at them, and there's like a bunch of weird like ripple effects and like very psychedelic colors like rippling away from from the het, and like maybe they're like swirling and like compounding into other shapes that maybe look like monsters or weapons or something like that. Like very 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 strange and trippy effects that I want to put on that one. That one's just, every time I imagine the effect of that in my head, that's kind of how I imagine it. So I think that one's probably my favorite. I really like Distortion Field. But if I'm gonna give any other species their due accolades, I would probably say it's gonna be one of the Apoy cards. Just because the Apoy have a lot of cool and like they have pollination cards that like you have we have one card called Pocket Pollen that literally you just reach into your pollen basket on your leg and pull out a handful of pollen and blind your blind your adjacent enemy with it, and they're confused for a few seconds and you can get a chance to get away or something like that. I think that one's just goofy and fun.
We will probably reference Pocket Sand for the image of that.
Oh, probably, yeah. Kind of have to, right? Like,
yeah. We'll be subtle with our memes, but we'll slip them in there if we're paying attention.
We make so many references to other stuff in our lore anyway. Like having references to memes in the artwork is gonna be just par for the course. I don't want to get it too deep into like the lore that is kind of memeified, but there's some really funny, very obscure memes that we get into. I'll probably talk more about that during a community live stream, and I can read some of that lore to you guys at some point and explain where it came from. Bennett and I were cooking when we were writing some of that stuff. How about you, Holly? You besides me, you probably have like the most exposure to the cards. Is there any card effect that you think is your favorite of all of them?
I don't know about a favorite necessarily, but one that I think is fun is a Fora card called Hunter's Mark that lets you, if you're within reach of an enemy, you can reach out and apply a Momoku to them that kind of acts as like a beacon. It leaves a little trail behind them for as long as the effect is active. That's actually based on something I saw in a documentary where there were a group of ants hunting a spider, and the spider slowed down just enough that one ant was able to leave pheromones on it, and that was enough for the entire hunting party to be able to eventually kill the spider.
Gnarly.
Yeah.
So sick.
Tagged his license plate.
Did not call the cops. Vigilantism. I still stand by that itsy bitsy spider pitch. I think we integrated at some point the itsy bitsy spider bit. I don't remember off the top of my head.
I thought it was some obscure like story or tall tale that the Sakuta tell. That's just like the itsy bitsy spider, but recontextualized in their universe.
I think that's something that we did. So we have one part of the Song of Origin, or sorry, the Song of Aoyama, that is called the Song of Peons, which is like it's comparable in theme and content to the Book of Psalms. And so it's a lot of like poetry or songs that were culturally significant during a certain time period of this created history, enough so that all of these things were compiled into the Holy Scripture because of how much cultural significance these things had to certain groups of people. And one of them does cover a spider. Like it has themes around spiders. One of them in particular is about a spider named Aranea, which I won't get into right now. It's a long story, but I feel like at some point we did talk about the Itsy Bitsy Spider, and if we haven't, I'll be sure to include it. Because it's, that's classic. It's a good meme.
So right now I'm playing around with the idea of the hypnotic effect coming from the wings, and that kind of blurring into the background and the surroundings.
Ooh,
I'm not sure how I feel about this current presentation of it, but I'm gonna keep experimenting with it and see what I can get.
Okay. Punk Moth on YouTube said, "I love this," with a heart emoji.
Hey, thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you for being here. Thanks for participating in our shenanigans.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose now is as good a time as any to shill the the Patreon.
Yeah, support the Patreon. When we get this going, and once we have our first prints in hand, we're gonna need money to kind of get those initial things off the ground. So that money will go a long way to help us get this game out and in your hands.
Yep. And as far as like what your money is supporting us to do right now, it's going towards our artists, making sure that these live streams happen. Which, speaking of, that's probably something we should have had in the meeting earlier today. But yeah, we'll talk about getting some money into yours and Perp's hands at some point in the next couple weeks.
See you to me, man.
We do have the next month's Patreon funding, so we might just wait until then so we can get you guys a little bit extra. Current moment, let's see, it was last month's Patreon funds went to help printing a bunch of the sheets for the cards, and it was a lot of money. To be fair, I still ended up paying over half of the costs out of pocket, because it's just so many cards I had to print. But not that I mind at all. That's certainly not to disparage the kindness and generosity that we get from our Patreons. Thank you so much for what you give to us. It's remarkable that you believe in us that much. I am gonna just say that there have been some people alleging that the funds are misappropriated, and I can certainly say that any funds that would be misappropriated, I can't imagine how, because I'm spending more money than the Patreons are giving us.
Yeah, like the funds are misappropriated, but yet I am still here producing the game live for everyone to watch. So
Yeah, totally.
explain that one to me.
Explain it, please.
Yeah, for the sake of transparency, we have recently started doing little monthly budget breakdowns in our Patreon posts, which tell you exactly how your money is being used.
Yep. So if you do have any reserves or any questions about that, we try and address them, because You guys are helping fund this and helping create it, so you deserve to know how your money's being spent. There have been periods of the project where I've had to occasionally use funding to eat, which, as far as I'm concerned, is totally appropriate, since I have to survive in order to get Colony out to you guys. Until the Song of Aoyama is finished, and until the novel's done, I can't die. That's basically where I'm at right now. Anytime after that, I'd be satisfied with my life, and I could, if something went wrong and I had to just bail out of existence, so be it. But until then, I'll be kicking it.
The bugs get you locked in. Can't go anywhere.
Yeah, the bugs got me. They got me good.
They're in the walls.
The scarabs from the mummy. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That one scene where the big Egyptian guy in the original Mummy, well, not the original, but you know, the first Mummy with Brendan Fraser, when the big Egyptian guy is popping the scarabs out of the wall and he is holding one, he's like, blue gold. I was like, that's not how gold works. Like, I highly doubt the Egyptians had enough metallurgy knowledge to understand how to tint gold different colors at that point through alloying, so... And now's as good a time as any to reference Nile Red's purple gold video. Wait, was it Nile Red, or was it another one of those chemistry guys?
It was Nile.
It was Nile? Okay, good.
Yeah.
There's another chemistry guy I've been watching lately, so I'm getting them conflated every so often nowadays. I can't remember what that other guy's name is off the top of my head, though. Oh, Bonsai Blaster just commented on YouTube, "Hey, I was finally able to catch a stream. Just wanted to stop by and say how awesome this whole project is. Super unique concept, and the dedication put into every aspect of this is inspiring." Thank you so much, man. We're really glad that you're here, and we're really glad that you enjoy what we do. Colony is, in effect, my outlet for playing God, effectively.
Again, Bible. Ever read it?
Did you ever read the Bible? You ever wish that there were bugs in the Bible? I don't know. I'm a very neurotic person, and so being able to put that neuroticism into something creative like this is it's very cathartic for me to just kind of let that out of me, so I don't let that... I find that neuroticism can be a little bit of a double-edged sword, and if you let it spill into too many aspects of your life, then it can be pretty detrimental. But putting it towards something like this, it's nice. It feels good.
Oh, damn, I just made Assassin's Creed.
I was about to say... You know what? Do it
was getting
anyway.
a little too pointy on the top earlier, so I had to start with that. Exploratory painting is all fun and good until you stumble into a hate crime.
Oh, did you hear how
Copyright
the
strike.
Egyptians cut granite sarcophagi? Apparently, I'm half remembering, don't quote me here, quartz dust and bronze saws. I imagine that the bugs go to some incredible lengths for methods of construction, too. Quartz dust and bronze saws is how they cut granite. That's pretty cool. The bugs, surprisingly, do not go to as many lengths as far as like doing things like cutting stone. A lot of the time, the kind of stone that they're looking for to work with is already kind of like sedimentary stone, so it's softer and more granular, easier to pick apart. So doing hard stone like granite or is it called igneous rock? Right, that's what that category of stone is.
I believe so.
yes.
Yeah, that they don't mess with that nearly as much. But sedimentary stone like flagstone, sandstone, hell, even stuff like pavement, you know, that kind of stuff is pretty easy for them to work with. As far as construction methods go, you know, when you think about like even at the scale of like ants being able to lift things like 50 times their weight, that kind of allows for rather absurdly sized things to be easily constructible for them, even at their scale, because if they just work together, they just can lift really big stuff in comparison to them, to build their whatever they're trying to build. So the method, like the lengths and methods of construction, are not too particularly absurd or incredible as far as like to what it is to them. But if you were to scale it up to like human sizes, then yeah, the feats that they're performing are incredible. Oh, speaking of Fibonacci circles, here's the Fibonacci song from the soundtrack. Which ironically is not about the Manta, it's about the row.
Keep following the wrong one.
Wrong layer?
No, the spiral. It's off center from where I was painting.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, like the leafy distortion effect.
Gotcha.
Still kind of in the exploratory phase.
Yeah.
Starting to get some stuff kind of locked into place. We're gonna play with the background a little bit more. Not entirely happy with the palette of it right now.
Okay.
I think I might do a little bit more of a sideways light source. Alright. For the Manta especially, I've always kind of associated this almost milky, sickly green, uh, even from our earliest concepts. They've always had this color green, white, and kind of a red accent to their palette.
Yeah. I remember one of the first pieces that you made of the Manta was the monastery piece. And it was this very misty, fog-ridden mountaintop where the pathway to the monastery was laid out with these very bright and vibrant, but still, like you say, that milky green Momoku chart, like the glyphs heading up to the monastery.
I'm definitely allowing myself to be a little more abstract with this piece because of its hypnotic nature. I'm not as worried about being as tangible as some of the previous pieces I've done. Which is kind of a double-edged sword, because on one hand, I'm able to keep it loose, just go with the feeling a bit more. But on the contrast side, or in contrast to that, really having to explore that abstract nature of it, find something that looks appropriate.
Trying to create a balance between the sharp realism and the dreamlike qualities of the piece.
Like, I don't think that spiral thing is working as much as I want it to.
Okay.
I do think I can do something similar to it, though.
I've been in a very similar situation for the music that I'm writing for the Song of Origins video. Right now, I was sitting on a piece that I was planning on using for it for it was months and months, probably up to a year that piece was kind of being produced, probably longer than that even, now that I think about it. But as I was sitting down to edit and keep working at it as we are getting all of the artwork ready for the Song of Origins video, and Bennett and I are working towards getting the music finished for it. I realized that I just didn't like the song. I just didn't like what I was making. And I was like, man, I just gotta start over. And I didn't start entirely over. I kept the intro and I kept a bunch of the soundscapes of it, but I started recontextualizing different parts of it, and I like much better where we're at working on that now. It's a much more dynamic and immersive piece, in my opinion. But I'm still working on it, still finishing it up. But sometimes just starting over is a good place to be.
Yeah, sometimes you just gotta pull the plug on things.
Yeah, that's okay.
Well, you can't do that during an art live stream, so we carry on.
You're live.
Honestly,
No,
even if-
I'm not unhappy with this piece. I am liking this piece so far. I'm
Yeah.
joking.
Well, I was gonna say though, even if you were to just like look at this and be like, I'm gonna scrap this and we're gonna work on something different, I'd be like, yeah, go for it, because that's part of the creative process too, is abandoning concepts. So, and if like, especially with Colony, one of the things that I've always done for myself as I've worked on it is just try and ensure that what I'm putting out for it is the best that I'm capable of putting out for it in the moment that I'm doing it. And that doesn't necessarily mean that it's a reflection of how good I can be. It's just what I'm able to do in the moment. So
Yeah, I mean, we've been working on this project for so long that even myself personally as an artist, I look back at old pieces for Colony and I'm like, I definitely want to redo that, or I could do that better. And it's kind of an awkward thing because you really have to pick and choose. You can't, like, with the body of work required to make something like this, you can't go back and fix everything.
yeah. And that's okay. I think that's, accepting the flaws in your own work is also a part of the artistic progress and process anyway, so. Oh man, it was very, very cold this morning and very gloomy, and I just looked outside my window and it is sunny and the trees are turning red and they're dropping leaves and it's just gorgeous in my neighborhood right now. Dang.
Same here.
It's nice finally living somewhere with seasons instead of just eternal summer. Are you really an artist if you don't cringe at your own past works, even if they are incredible to other people? Dude, that's so real. That is so real, man. Ooh, I like that. That's cool. Anytime we get unique details for clothing, I'm always excited because bug clothes are just weird, man.
I try to make it as weird as I can.
I love it. Ooh, maybe with some beads hanging off of those dangles?
I'll think about it. It's a bit busy right now.
That's fair.
But
So, just out of curiosity, would that get in the way of the mandibles at all? Or
It could.
yeah, I could. Are you thinking of like other cards where you can bite people or something?
Oh, just thinking about the idea of the piece that, like, if you're doing this to hunt or to bite, then
It'd also be more of a ceremonial thing of like, there's a time to eat and there's a time not to eat, and this
That's
is like
true.
I'm not eating hood. I'm here to fight, not to
Ooh.
punch.
It's kind of like Melina from Mortal Kombat. It hides her face.
Oh yeah,
Could be it.
her giant jaw. Yeah, that's true.
Eh.
That I do like that idea of it being a cultural thing that they hide their faces away when they're not hunting. And it's like
And it doesn't even have to be a universal thing, but it can just be a thing that someone wears because they just like it's just a pious thing. They feel like they need it.
Yeah. I like that. That's cool.
I want to be courteous to the people around me.
I think that's one thing that we haven't really touched on a lot in Colony is the importance of clothing or any type of like anything like that as far as armor or cultural clothing goes like that. A lot of it has more to do with like the style that they would put their fuzz into or small decorations that they would put on their bodies or Momoku that they are adorned with when they go out to perform their duties and stuff like that. So being able to like touch more on the cultural aspects of how they view clothing is a very interesting thing to explore too, because for them they don't think of themselves as being naked really, and any clothing that they do wear is more of a protectorate thing than anything else. So, but this idea of having clothing be a somewhat cultural significance for the Manta, I like that idea. That's pretty cool. We can play around with that some, I'm sure. Especially given that of all of the species that we see, the Manta seem to be the most likely to wear robes and clothing anyhow, so...
Yeah, at least for non-combat situations.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of other pieces that I really enjoy, the Manta Observatory is one that I'm very proud of. A lot of work went into that piece.
One of my favorites. The Manta being astronomers is still one of my favorite aspects of their culture anyway. They're like I mean, so I grew up, my dad loves astronomy as a hobby. He built his own telescopes and stuff like that, so I grew up doing astronomy as like a bonding thing with my dad. So like any time I get to like explore astronomy in any worlds that I'm building, it's always very, very special and very cool to see the depictions of all the crazy ways that you can imagine astronomers operating.
Oh, he's blending in a little bit too much to the background. I like the values. I'm gonna try and change the coloring a bit. Yeah, I like that much. So as of right now, I'm starting to think about shadows, coloration, making sure everything reads properly from a small distance. You'll notice I zoom out a lot. So ultimately, you want to look good when it's super small.
Yeah.
That is the goal.
This is going to appear on cards, so making sure they look good from a distance is of the utmost importance.
For example, I think this in front makes more sense. Any more questions in the chat?
Not at current moment.
Alright.
I could, since we do have time now, we got a little bit of a lull, I could go into some of that, some of those songs of Peons, stuff with the Auroch, if you like.
Go for it.
Okay, so this is a rather short one. This is based off of two pieces of media involving spiders. One is a song from an album that I grew up listening to on road trips with my dad called The Butterfly Ball and the Grasshopper Feast. And there's this one song on there called, I think it's called Aranea, I want to say. Oh, excuse me. And then the classic spider bite video of the guy just going, spider bite hurt, spider bite. So we, Bennett and I wrote this. Paeon 2, a longing and lament of the Auroch mistress Aranea. O doth ye hold thyself with an air of divinity, mine gaze is held entrapped by thine aura, not unlike as thy web entrappeth thy prey. How great does the amber of thy abdomen glisten and shimmer as gold in the day. What wisdoms lay within thy countless eyes deep and dark. How proud in stature do ye stand, whilst upon silken thread do ye descend upon a fearful feast, and dance with legs abounding. Verily can thy beauty be known by only eye, or doth another seek thy gaze of countless eyes? Hark! A decree has arisen from the amber, and a statute from the leaf litter. Do diligence to not allow thyselves be injured by evil afflictions, for poison spouts forth from their mandibles, and their teeth gnash with burning anger. Do not fall into their web of lies and temptations, lest ye suffer the same fate. Woe be unto he who is caught in the Auroch's foul jaws. Alas, though the pain from thy affliction is near unbearable, it is still thy affliction to bear. When when then can we be rid of this affliction in the nethers of our bodies and souls? Woe be unto those who are seduced into their own demise. And the fact that we take this so seriously.
Beautiful.
Oh man. I love writing little like details of lore like that within the their scriptural storytelling. It's so fun. I'll even read you guys some more, just for fun. This is Paeon 3, an anthem of Edom to Dar the Saffron. Sing loudly and with exceeding merriment unto Dar, for he is gracious. The forest resoundeth with joy at thy splendor. Let us lift up our voices to him who made us to sing. Let us honor him with song and dance. Let us praise Dar for his kindness to the world. His mercy knows no bounds. He hath regarded my sorry condition and made me merry despite it. Let us all be merry and partake in social pleasures, for Dar hath commanded it. Let us rejoice with praise and thanksgiving to Dar and his brethren, who made us and bid us feed. He is the font of happiness and the joy of the world. He hath invited the whole world to his eternal feast. He is quick to forgiveness and slow to anger, for all are welcome to his dance. He loveth at all times and is intolerant to hatred and exclusion. Let this then be his law, that all are to celebrate and give thanks from sunrise to sunset, and at all times and in all places, for creation is to be celebrated. Let the bards who wander the land move with utmost certainty, and know that Dar hath blessed them with his song. And his song is this: Holy is creation, holy are those that dwell in it, holy are those that come to the tabernacle of merriment for merriment's sake. Yea, behold, eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow we perish. Rejoice and be glad, for Dar is with you always.
Dang, there's a lot going on there.
A lot going on there. We have a few of these. Got a few things like this. It's pretty nice. Very fun just to like explore like the psyche of the Sakuda from their perspective and try and create cultural expressions and like I said, this whole book of scripture is meant to be an analog to Psalms, and so being able to explore the different mentalities and psyches and perspectives of all these different species and their cultures and express them in those same ways is very fun to play around with. And also, of course, making references to the Bible, since I do lift a lot of themes from it, that, you know, eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow we die. That whole thing is obviously a reference to the way that you're not supposed to act according to the Bible, but within this universe, this is one of the ways that you express joy and devotion to one of their gods. So it's an inversion of themes, I suppose. Or maybe not an inversion, but a subversion. That's a pretty cool brush you just knocked out there.
Yeah, it looks a little bit too much like a tropical fern.
Fair enough.
So I'm gonna try and find a way to make it look a little more deciduous.
All right.
In fact, I might actually do that on a separate layer so I can keep this. Sorry about the pause, guys. I'm just looking up some fur references right now.
No worries. Oh, I actually may take a moment. I'll be right back. I'm gonna go grab some water.
In the back of my mind, I'm still trying to think of ways to incorporate the open wings into the spiral design. Come up with anything yet, but still thinking about it.
And I have returned.
Welcome back.
Thank you. Welfare check. How is everybody doing?
We're doing good.
Yeah.
I think the bones are all here, so it's just a matter of zipping things up, buttoning the buttons, and getting it cinched down.
Sweet. I'm proud of us. We've been very good about not breaking the swear jar rule this week.
Oh, we've still got time. Don't worry. I'm sure one of you will sneak something out there.
It's got the same energy as that one video of the guy going, "Nobody's ever called me a slur," and then the guy next to him goes, Are you ready?" How you doing, Perp?
Doing all right. Need to cook dinner at some point.
Ah, gotcha.
Part of me wants to have their eyes glowing with like Momoku energy, just for that extra hypnotic effect.
I like the idea.
I don't know how that fits in canonically, so I'm hesitant.
They likely would not have Momoku on their eyes. That doesn't mean that they couldn't be just wearing Momoku anyway.
Yeah, maybe painted on the face.
Yeah, I'm making a spot in the forehead for it. I think that's the idea. I just need a focal point for the spiral.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
Actually,
Yeah, it feels like it would make more sense in the past. No.
the face is a little off center, which is okay. It's not the end of the world.
Mm-hmm.
Just start using liquefy. Nudge it over. Got like a crick in the back of my neck that I can't get.
I feel that. Ooh, that like a windswept effect? Yeah. Yeah!
I'm just in Zen mode right now, just letting it flow. Not really
Same.
doing a whole lot of thinking.
I'm also kind of just in that space right now because I'm listening to the music that's going through on the stream. And right now, the Manta theme's playing is just perfect.
It's fate.
Yeah. Well, I mean, statistically speaking, it had to happen at some point. It's the whole album's on a loop.
Dude, don't bring math into this. You complicate my metaphors with numbers.
But I'd say in the artistic process, eventually you kind of reach a point, like, in the whole process of creating a piece, where you kind of switch over from decision making to just rendering.
Yeah.
Where it's like the ideas are there, you're just kind of letting the details fill in.
Mhm. I find that's like one of the most enjoyable parts of art is that once you do hit that stride in it, it just you just hit that flow of creation. You just lose time, you lose there's all sense of anything else except for creating the piece, and it feels good.
I have Dark Crystal playing in the background for me. It's just beautiful,
I love
beautiful score.
the Dark Crystal score. It's so good. What's the guy's name? I'm trying to remember. Oh, whoops. Did not mean to bring up Spotify in front of the stream. That was my bad. Let's see. Daniel Pemberton. So Daniel Pemberton has done a lot of soundtracks that I really like. He did the score work for Into the Spider-Verse and Across the Spider-Verse. He also did the score work for King Arthur: Legend of the Sword. And now, like, I'm going back and reviewing other stuff that he's put out recently. I did not know that he did the OST for Concord.
Well,
Right.
who would hear it at this point?
What's that?
If we're talking about the same Concord, who would hear it at this point?
Oh, true. Yeah, exactly. Well, certainly not the players. Let's see, what else? Apparently did the Ferrari soundtrack. What else? Apparently did Enola Holmes. The guy's just got a really, really, really good sense for score work. I really, really like his style. I'm trying to find like other stuff down the list. He's got a very extensive like list of all of the soundtracks that he's worked on. Just tons and tons of work. He did something for a project called Prehistoric Park. And now
Oh man, that's a nostalgia bomb. I watched the
Really?
crap out of that as a kid. Yeah.
I have no idea what that is. I gotta go look at this now.
Also had some pretty banger music. Now that you mention it.
It's a docu-series. Okay. Well, I know what I'm watching tonight.
Oh man, you ready for some terrible CGI? It's great.
I mean, it's 2002. I was expecting it.
Very wholesome though. Very, as far as dinosaur stuff goes, very fun.
Awesome. Oh, I do love dinosaur stuff. I would not be opposed to making something dinosaur related for a future Hex project. I can't possibly imagine what I could come up with for a dinosaur project that hasn't already been done, but I'm sure I could come up with something eventually.
You're the type who would make Dinotopia. Like that's what I thought of.
I learned some very cool stuff about the guy who invented Dinotopia. The guy who wrote that series,
James Gurney. Yeah.
yeah, he started as an architect. He designed architecture for people to build. And the way that he got into doing Dinotopia was one day he was just like, I want to create an art piece that supposes that dinosaurs are an everyday part of human life, and how would architecture have to adapt to fit into that, that idea, that whole cultural concept. And so he drew a few pieces, and then he was like, oh, this would be really fun to write stories about. And so that's how he started writing the Dinotopia books.
Yeah, I have a bunch of his art books. His stuff is just really good. Like, not art books as in like collections of his art, but like instructional books of how to do art.
Oh,
I highly recommend. Actually, oh damn, they're packed up because I'm moving. I'm trying to think of their names. One's called Imaginative Realism. That's a pretty good one.
Imaginative
and then the other, I think the other's called Color and Light. Two very good books if you're an artist looking to just pick up some good referential books. Highly recommend. Highly recommend.
Well, I've got that on my purchase list now. Okay, so there was Imaginative Realism, and what was the other one you said?
Color and Light. I want to say.
Light. A Guide for the Realistic Painter. Perfect. But yeah. Like, if Dinotopia didn't already exist, I would definitely have invented Dinotopia. I love Dinotopia. So there was, I can't remember what year I think it was like a 2 or 3 part miniseries came out for it. I remember the year that it dropped, it was all over the Blockbusters, and so I went over to Blockbuster, I picked up a set, and it came on like 3 discs, if I remember correctly.
Oh man.
And I just didn't return the set. I kept it. I loved it so much. I told my parents, I was like, "Can you guys just pay the fee to keep it?" And they were like, "Yeah, that's fine." I must have watched that mini series like 3 or 4 times a week. I loved it so much. It's so good. And like
I don't think I ever watched the series. I heard they kind of butchered the book, but I mean,
oh, it definitely
Go
butchers
figure.
the book. Yeah.
yeah.
But as far as like an introduction to like the idea of Dinotopia, it's perfect. It's perfect for little kids to get into it. I definitely think that a newer adaptation would be absolutely justified. But as far as like what it was for the time that it came out, especially being like a mini series like that, I think it's great. The effects for the time, I will say this, the effects for the time are definitely not up to snuff with anything close to stuff like Jurassic Park. That is definitely something that should be said about it. If you're going in there expecting it to be like Jurassic Park levels of dinosaurs and stuff like that, no. The effects, however...
The effects have only gone downhill since Jurassic Park.
And ironically, Jurassic Park kind of invented a lot of the effects that people use today. It's crazy to think about how Phil Tippett, when he was brought on board to work on Jurassic Park, was brought on board to do practical effects for all of the dinosaurs, and a lot of the wide shots that they were going to do were going to be stop motion. They were creating stop motion puppets. And then I can't remember the guy's name off the top of my head, which is a shame because he deserves recognition. But there was this one guy who he just loved doing computer generated graphics and stuff, and creating 3D models of things. And he was doing some of the effect work for Jurassic Park and like just working with ILM in general. And one day, I think he like had a week off where he didn't have like anything to do. So he pulled up references of different T-Rex skeletons and approximations of their sizes and bone comparisons. And he built an entire 3D model as accurately as he possibly could back in, 92 or whatever, of this, of a T-Rex. And then he was like, he still had time, and he was like, I'll put muscles on it. So he looked at all of the references for what they approximate the muscle structure would have been, and he made the musculature for the model. And then he was like, well, I've gone this far, I might as well put skin on it. And so he skins the whole thing. He puts a skin wrap on the entire thing. And then he was like, well, I've got the whole thing put together, I might as well animate it. So he looked at the way that birds moved and stuff like that, and he made this T-Rex do a walking animation cycle, and he put it in a 3D rendered environment. And one day he was just like, they had like some of the ILM folks getting together, and Stan Winston, I think, as well. A bunch of them were getting together to watch some demos that felt so convincing that and George Lucas was there at the showing too. So it was George Lucas, Steven Spielberg, Kathleen Kennedy, and a few other names. I can't remember all who. But they were
George
all
Lucas is like, I gotta make a call.
Yeah, George Lucas literally George Lucas literally like ran out and had to make some calls real quick. It was very, very funny. Uh-oh. YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. As such, viewers will be experiencing buffeting. Okay, let's see if I can fix that. Well, that's no good. I'm not sure how to fix that. Maybe I just need to turn off some of the RAM from my computer, see if that helps.
That, or you may just be having like not an internet disruption, but a fluctuation.
Yeah. Which is liable to happen. My roommates play a lot of online games during the day, so it's fine. I can't complain much. I don't pay the internet bills around here. Yeah, the whole reason we have 3D animation for creature is because of creature design for Jurassic Park. All of the really complex, realistic dinosaurs and creature modeling that you see in modern cinema all stems from Jurassic Park. We wouldn't have it without it.
That or would have come about eventually through some other means.
Oh, sure. I guess I'm just
But
saying.
the reason we have it now in the way we do is,
Yeah.
the park, which I still maintain that Jurassic Park should be a horror franchise, not a popcorn franchise.
Oh, yeah.
Because, man, that book is terrifying.
Dude. Also, the way that they misrepresent John Hammond in the movie, where he's almost like Santa Claus-y, but in the book he's a very cutthroat capitalist. Very strange, like, change that they made there. Very big discrepancy in character.
Yeah, I definitely think they're going for more of that light-hearted tone for the movie, like the
Yeah.
summer blockbuster, less of a scathing critique of, society.
Which is
About
unfortunate,
the
'cause-
deepest. Yeah, I mean, about the deepest they go is like man shouldn't mess with nature, and I think they wanted to more so focus in on that theme versus the more economic side.
Yeah. Oh, Shino Gaming just said hello, and hello to you, Shino Gaming. Welcome to the stream. Thanks for hanging out. But yeah, I definitely a lot of the larger, or maybe the larger, but the more nuanced brushstrokes of the commentary from the book got lost in translation in the movie, which I kind of understand. The movie definitely felt more like a horror. Like the first two films felt more like horror films than they did like adventure films. But then like Jurassic Park 3 comes out and it's like, oh, okay, this has nothing to do with what I like about the other two. Oh, Shino Gaming asks, is that a cyber locust? No, it is not. It is a monk praying mantis, and this is for a card in our game that's being developed right now. The card is called Swaying Leaves, and it's meant to be this like hypnosis effect on other creatures. That cyber thing that you're probably bringing up is the light on the top of the praying mantis's head. So that's actually what we call a momoku, which is a pheromone glyph. And pheromones play a huge part within the world of Colony. So, yeah. Well, it looks like we're back to okay streaming quality. So I'm happy about that. All this talk about doing Jurassic Park makes me want to do movies again. I miss making movies.
One of these days, I'll get one of my animation projects off the ground.
Yeah,
I just don't have time or energy.
I got you. The even just doing small little animation projects with Colony would be very fun. I I've pitched this idea before, but um I'd love to do like animusic style animations for Colony with the soundtrack, since they are a lot of the music in the soundtrack is diegetic to the world and played on instruments that they use within the universe. Um, that's one of the things that I feel like would just make a lot of sense for us to develop as music videos for the soundtrack. Be able to show cultural aspects about the Sakuta through these animations. And the cool thing is that if we do it the route that Animusic did it, there's already plugins for animation software that converts MIDI to animation using keyframes. So that would alleviate a lot of the work.
It might not be quite that simple, but...
Well, you have to set up what the keyframes are and the way that the animation leads up to the keyframe getting hit on the MIDI note, but it does do it so that way you can effectively just line up all of the MIDI inputs and it will just automate the playing through MIDI control. It's very fascinating the way that the software works. So yeah, it's not quite so simple, but there is a lot of work that goes into setting those things up. But it's somewhat easier than having to animate every single one every single hit of the instrument in time with your music. So one day. I've actually been looking for an excuse to start learning Blender, so I might take a crack at learning how that software works anyhow. So that way, when we eventually do get to the point where we can start making those kinds of music videos, then I can help explain it while we're doing animation processes. The way you've got the wings just kind of like the one on the left, just the way that it almost looks like it's getting torn apart looks so cool.
Yeah, I think I've got the effect that I want with the distortion.
Very nice.
few more lighting tweaks here and there, just to make things pop a bit.
All right.
We're getting pretty close. Just reads nice and well. Just a little bit of a brighter highlight,
Mm.
so it pops out more.
Oh, excuse me. Yawning over here. I've done hardly anything today. Why am I yawning?
Sleepy boy.
Sleepy boy.
And I get my nap in before the stream. It's like super
Wired.
tired. It's like I need 20 minutes tops. Just
Yeah, I'll probably go take a nap after I do the dishes when we're wrapped up here. But until then, I'm just gonna bank on caffeine.
I'm getting pretty close. We're in the final stretch here.
Okay.
At this point, I'm just checking for anything I might have missed that needs a little cleanup or a little render. It's their physiology.
Mm. Oh yeah, the serrations. There's this very intense contrast that I just noticed that's kind of brilliant and kind of lends itself to the idea that this is a little bit of a hallucination, like that you're seeing here is the way that the wind feels like it's kicking up and swirling around the manta, but then the headpiece kind of droops down and isn't affected by the wind, and so it makes you question whether it's real or not. It's very cool.
Yeah, that was definitely intentional. Definitely not oversight on my part. Anyway.
Well, no, but either way, it's good. I would have brought it up sooner if I uh, if I didn't think that it fit fine for what this card is supposed to be.
Yeah, no, I do think it works. Like it works alright. Yeah, I think I'm gonna call it there. That's pretty
All right.
decent. Pretty decent.
Yeah, looks great.
Pretty good. Pretty good. This is excellent. Thank you so much, Matt.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for everyone who came and checked it out. We appreciate it.
With that, I think we'll call it out, and we'll cut it here, folks. So thank you everybody for joining. This has been a great stream as always, and everybody have a great day.
Thank you very much.
See ya.